Away from the eyes of the world, villages are being razed, civilians massacred. This is Sagaing State, epicenter of Myanmar's brutal civil war. Once a key recruiting ground for the country's military, now it's at the heart of the uprising against it. 2 years after the army seized control of the country in a coup, residents here are still protesting in support of democracy in areas now controlled by activists and guerrillas opposing the military. But their defiance has come at a terrible price. Here, residents of Passagie village survey the aftermath of an airstrike last week. More than 170 people were killed, including at least 30 children, their bodies strewn across the field. The target, an opening ceremony for a local council office opposing the military. A local resident sent us this video, asking us to disguise his identity. The military admitted carrying out the airstrike, but claimed the high death toll was caused by explosives stored at the site. More than 1,500 civilians have been killed in Sagaing over the past 2 years, far more than any other state. Myanmar Witness, a London-based NGO, has been tracking the scale of the violence.
Over 40%, around 45% of all airstrikes we identified occurred in Sagaing, which is by and far above the rest of the states that we looked at. If we look at fire, over 450 singular incidents of arson have been verified, and that is more than every other state put together.
This is the first time the military has faced an armed uprising in its own heartlands. Until now, it's been ethnic minorities battling against them from remote border territories. But Sagaing is close to Mandalay, the country's second largest city, and the army's response has been particularly ferocious. We've been tracking the actions of one unit, known as the Ogre Column. Beginning in Malay Tar on the 24th of February, they started raiding local villages. A few days later, a coalition of resistance groups ambushed the column here in Pardat Taing. The military captured a group of 5 rebel fighters, including 15-year-old Po Sain and 17-year-old Po Kai. They beheaded them all, leaving their heads on display in public. We managed to speak to the small unit of volunteers the 2 boys belonged to. The Ogre Column continued their rampage, arriving in the village of Tar Tang. We've been sent these videos of the aftermath. This is the pile of bodies they left behind. More than a dozen civilians murdered, 1 rebel fighter beheaded and dismembered. The unit were then reported to have killed 10 people here, before arriving at Swelue village. Here, they were captured on drone footage filmed by the rebels. You're watching a soldier hacking off the head of a rebel fighter who's been shot and killed. After the potential war crime, he walks away from the corpse, still holding the head. The savagery is hard to fathom. One defecting soldier told us it was intended to instill terror. but it risks provoking a brutal cycle of reciprocal violence.
ကျွန်တော်စိတ်ထဲမှာခံစားရတာကအမှန်တိုင်းပြောရမယ်ဆိုရင်ဒီကောင်တွေကိုကျွန်တော်ပြန်ချချင်နေမြကျွန်တော်ရဲဘော်တွေဆုံးရှုံးနေရတဲ့အတွက်ကျွန်တော်ရဲဘော်တွေကိုဒီတိုင်းတတ်သွားရတဲ့အတွက်ကျွန်တော်လေးဒီတိုင်းပဲဒီကောင်တွေကိုပြန်တတ်ချင်တယ်
Myanmar's army denies wrongdoing, but has targeted minority groups like the Rohingya Muslims with similar brutal tactics for years. Now their guns are trained on people across the country.